Any questions?
What kind of service plan does this come with?
Unlimited.
Can I keep my same phone number?
Absolutely.
How do I change the ringtone?
Just hook it up to your computer.
Does it have a camera? What's the warranty? Does it come in silver? Can I put my party shuffle on this? Does it have a 3.5 millimeter headset jack? You sell a lot of these?
It's the one I carry.
You ever get those phantom vibrations in your pocket?
Any questions?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Ask questions. For the 10 questions everyone should know, go to ahrq.gov.
Welcome to today's show of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. My special guest today is Kathleen Duffus, who is the owner of Coach Through Life, Personal Career and Coaching, and also the founder and CEO of Tough Times University. Welcome, Kathleen.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. This is fun.
We have a good time.
I can tell.
Actually, you and I met by chance.
Yes.
I was downtown, across the street in the business, and talked to you and got to know you a little bit, and we talked about Tough Times University, and we both have overcome some adversarial difficulty situations in our lives, and mine was more with heart issues, but you actually overcame breast cancer.
Yes. Well, you have an amazing story, Mike, and someone someday's got to hear all that. But my situation was, yes, I did overcome breast cancer. My mother actually died of breast cancer when I was 13 years old, and I didn't realize that this was going to be a disease, as it is, that affects families. And of my 3 sisters, I was the first one to be diagnosed with breast cancer. And that was almost 20 years ago then. God has been good to me. I have been out of it for that long, and I'm so appreciative of the fact that I can do that I can talk about it, that I can give something back. Because that's the biggest thing about going through a disease or going through a tough time. If you can come out on the other side and you can, through what you've learned, give back to someone else who's going through the same thing. That's what it's all about for me.
A lot of people ask me the same questions. How did it affect you? How did it affect your life? And again, mine was nowhere near as difficult as yours was. But when you first talked about developing, working with other people, what went through your mind? Did you just wake up one day and say, gee, I've gone through this and I think I can help somebody? And
well, actually what happened to me was I lived in California, Southern California, for about 20 years, and I became very familiar with people who were great motivators, and familiar with people like Norman Vincent Peale and Robert Schuller and W. Clement Stone and people like that.
And you actually worked for Robert Schuller.
I did. I worked for Robert Schuller in his endowment fund at the Crystal Cathedral, and I sold these huge stepping stones for $2,000 that had Bible verses on them, and they were designed to put the campus into a fund that would, into perpetuity, take care of it financially. But I enjoyed doing that, but I developed a great love for people who are in the motivational industry. So when I came down with my diagnosis, when I was told that I had breast cancer, the first thing after the initial shock and then the treatment, what I wanted to do was just give back and motivate people into realizing that you don't have to die just because you get a disease that is one of those things that are, people hear about all the time. Once you get cancer, oh well, that's kind of it. It's not. People survive cancer all the time. And I was so hopeful in knowing that I had survived. I wanted to just give people that hope myself. So I'm motivated by that. Tough Times University actually came out of the fact that my mother's passing at 13 years old. We all have dreams, but when you're 13 years old and your dreams are shattered, you don't know a whole lot about picking up those pieces and going on. So you sort of find some strength in yourself that you didn't realize you have, and you go on and you learn from those things, and then you have an empathy and a sympathy for people who are going through that. So those tough times developed me. Those tough times always develop us and make us into people that we didn't think we could be. And for those things, we need to really be grateful.
Have you always been a compassionate individual? Have you always?
I have been. I care very much for people, and I love seeing people achieve and become what God made them to be. We have greatness in all of us, and so few people really see that in themselves. People are beaten down. We're living in a time right now where people are losing their jobs and they're not able to find work, or and that's a lot of ways that people define themselves, by what they do. And so they're defeated, and they don't realize that God put in them seeds of greatness that would make them be anything they want to be. And so I get so excited by watching people develop into what God created them for. And just having that confidence and belief in themselves. Belief is everything.
One of the major issues after I got sick and was recovering, people ask, because the doctors told me I wasn't going to survive. And I'm sure you've come across the same question. People that, do you really believe God saved you? I mean, that was one of the questions I got quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. What did you say?
I have 9 doctors that will give you an affidavit that whatever they did didn't work. But
Yes.
I know in the Tough Times University, this is what your motto is: quality of education is equaled only by the quantity of pain and difficulty one is willing to overcome.
Yes, that's absolutely right. That's what Tough Times University is all about. You can be bitter or you can be better. You can come out of things disgusted and sad and angry, or you can come out of things a better person who wants to build on what's happened to you and help other people. Tough Times University is a place where we all have been or will be sometime or another. I believe I have alumni all over the world. People have gone through some real tough, difficult times, but they've come out on the other side. And that's the important thing, that you never let it get you down, but rather that you go through it, learn through it, and then come out and give through it. Give through your experience. What happened to you and how do I give back? And that was one of the first things I wanted to do after I recovered. After the radiation treatments were over and things were, I was going to live. And then I came to that 5-year marker where if you make it 5 years, you've got it pretty well made. But immediately after coming out of the situation, I started a class called Cancer Overcomers. And it was in a church in Pittsburgh, so that's where I took my treatment in Pennsylvania. And I had a lot of people come into my class who were going through very difficult things. And there are ways to overcome diseases. Cancer is just one of them. Heart disease, a lot of the things that we as human beings get as being human are diseases that are just normal, But you can overcome those things. You can overcome a lot of things with your attitude. You can overcome a lot of things with the things that you believe about yourself. You have to talk positively to yourself every time you get an opportunity when you're going through a rough time, and realize that nothing is permanent. Everything's temporary. Every day you wake up a different person. Every day you have a new chance, a new opportunity. And you should never, ever give up. You should never get yourself so down that you can't get back up. And Les Brown, he has a great saying. He says, if you get down, you fall down, make sure you fall down on your back, because as long as you can look up, you can get up. And I love that.
That's nice. My special guest today is Kathleen Duffus, the owner of Coach to Life, and also the founder and CEO of Tough Times University, a breast cancer survivor.
Yes.
When you were going through your treatments and you were thinking about helping other people, were there times that you thought, why me? Why did this happen to me?
I was blessed by the fact that it was me. And this is kind of an odd thing. I have 3 sisters, and my mother being 34 years old when she died of this disease, I first of all said, thank you, God, that it was me, because I know him as my Savior, and I know who he is. And I was concerned for them, that maybe they wouldn't be strong enough, they wouldn't be ready. And so I didn't say why me so much as okay, if I've got to have this, you're going to give me what I need to get through it. And then I immediately had peace about the fact that I knew he would be there to help me. And I knew that I wasn't going to go through it alone, and I had a lot of support and prayer. You know how prayer counts from everyone. Prayer means everything. So the support and the prayer that I got from my family and people who knew me, that got me through it. I was never bitter about why me. I was always more, okay, it's me. How do I do this? How do I get through it? And how do I make it work for me so that I can help other people?
You've been doing this for a long time. Difficulties that you've run into? Obviously, I know people reject, this has happened to me. You can either accept it and deal with it. Problems, issues that you face with individuals that, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Yeah, sometimes people are not positive. Sometimes they're very negative about what has happened to them. Sometimes people do say, well, why me? You know, well, you have to deal with the hand you're given. You know, you can make the most of your life no matter what happens to you. Whatever your circumstances are, you can make a choice. And yes, people are not always, people are afraid. Fear is the biggest thing that keeps people from being successful. And fear is one of the biggest things that holds people back in healing. If they're fearful that they're not going to get well, if they're fearful that this disease will come back, if they have a lot of fear even about just the way that they live their lives, they will be defeated, because that's what fear is all about. It's there to put you down and put you out. So you need to be positive and not let anything like that hinder you. You know, you need to be strong. And sometimes it's hard to make people realize that, but if you can talk them through it and show people the positive things that they have going for them, you're still alive, you still have your health, really, you do. You know, you still have an opportunity every day to get up and make a difference. You still have people who love you, and you still have opportunity, and you can always be somebody else. You can reinvent yourself every day, and you can be a great person, or you can just be the great person you already are. You know, it's up to you. You decide.
Wow. It's inspiring. The website, phone number, people want to get a hold of you?
Yes, my website is www.coachthroughlife.com, or you can get it the other way now. We just got the other domain, coachthroughlife.com. That was a little confusing for people. And you can call me at 740-407-6460. And we can talk and see if there's any way that I can help you get through what you're trying to get through. I'll be happy to do that, you know.
We spent about 45 minutes one day in downtown just talking about different things, and developed a unique bond about just enjoying life. Have you ever been in a situation that you just, boy, I don't know if I can help this individual?
Yes, yes. You can't help everybody. The whole key is the person has to be willing to help themselves. And sometimes I can talk to somebody for, you know, a session or two, and then I have to realize that I can't change the person. The person has to want to change themselves. So I can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. But if you're open and willing and want to listen and be receptive, I can hold you accountable and I can help you get through some things, but I can't change you and I can't make the plan for you. You have to kind of go on your own plan.
Now, do you get involved with, not victims, but families also? Do you get to do counsel families as a group?
No, I don't counsel families, but I do a lot of church work, and so in that regard, I do get to counsel people and talk to people and families about what's going on in their lives. We have a great group of kids in this world. Even though people want to put them down, kids can be terrific. They've got it all. And if we can see the good and the positive in our kids, we can develop that, you know, and not look at the negative things. Families just are families. They got to love each other and care for each other and support each other, and that's what I try to instill in them, you know.
What made you interested in human behavioral organization development? When you were a kid, were you thinking, gee, this is what I want? When I grow up, I want to work with people?
You know, as a kid, I was very aware of myself. That's kind of weird. I was very aware of my thoughts and where I was in the world and where I was in the universe, I guess. I don't know what that's all about, really. But I've always been fascinated by motivation. I've always been fascinated by the fact that, you know, God made us to be a certain way. He put himself inside of us. We're supposed to be pretty great. And I've always been aware of the fact that people can influence each other with what they say and how they act and what they do. You know, people can help each other and people can hurt each other. So I think I always have wanted to uplift people and encourage people. That's always been my biggest thing, is encourage people. You know, make people feel like, you know what, no matter what's happening in your life today, something great is happening. And if it's not, it's going to happen tomorrow. So be positive, be happy. You know,
enjoy it.
Enjoy it, yeah. Life is really, really pretty short in the scope of things. And if we go through life being miserable and unhappy, what's the point? You know? Be happy, enjoy it.
Now, in the last 20 years, 25 years, is there anything that stands out to you that was something that helped you develop, that you talked to someone and said, boy, I thought I had it bad?
Oh, gosh. You know, I think for me, I've had some difficult times. I lost a child. I had lost my mother at 13. I've been diagnosed with some other things that we won't talk about because they're not things that I want to even focus on. But I do, no matter where you go, you find someone who's worse off than you. And if you can think about when you're talking to someone who's having a difficult time or going through a rough time, the compassion in your heart has to overtake what you see. And you have to say, some people say, gee, I'm glad I'm not that guy, or gee, but you need to say, gee, what if I was that guy? What if, I'm glad that's not happening to me. Whoa, I got out of that one. But really what you need to say is, what if that was happening to me? And then look at it from that standpoint, and how do I help people, not how do I just walk away and go, oh, well, not my problem. People need encouragement. People need help. People need to feel like they matter, because they do. And I think that's the gift that God's given me, is to make people feel like they are important and make them feel like they matter, because they are amazing.
You talked earlier about youth and about how important youth is, and I have 3 daughters that 2 are grown, one's still in high school. But we have a crew here of young men and women. And what advice do you have for them as they begin to develop what they want to do in life and graduating from high school, going into college?
I would say, know how great you are. Know that God has given you everything you need to be the person that He created you to be, and that you have potential that you won't even ever tap into in your lifetime. But if you can tap into some of it, you can be amazing, and you will be. And that you have a gift to give the world, that you have a destiny, and there's a plan for you, and that your life is not an accident. That every day that you walk and every day that you talk and breathe and get out there in the world, someone is being changed by your actions. Your life touches a lot of lives, and you can be whatever you want to be. Just go for it.
Good advice to our crew. We'll make sure they heed to that.
They're good guys.
You deal with individuals. Ever thought about dealing with corporate life, corporate
a lot of coaches do that, and I have not developed my business to that point just yet. But I would like to, at some point, be able to go into corporate situations and business situations where I can coach larger groups. I try to teach some smaller classes now where I do small group coaching. Anybody can benefit from coaching, because we don't always know what we don't know. And the great part about being a coach is you get to ask these really difficult questions sometimes, and then with the answers you get to see a different perspective than the other person might be seeing about what they're going through. So corporate would be great. Individual is fun. I just love talking to people and helping them.
At one time you were a small business owner for about 20 years in Pennsylvania. You had a little antique shop. I
had an antique shop in Pennsylvania. When I lived in California, I had a dress shop. I've always been involved in some way or another in some small business, and I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. It's difficult for me to go somewhere inside and work 9 to 5. I think there are a lot of us out there. I just I'm artistic, I paint, I have a love of life, and so I'm always reaching out to something new, and that can be good and that can be bad. Depends.
Depends on what you want to do, but you have such a different view of life that, being through what you've been through, all the tragedy in your life, and yet you continue to, the first time we met, we just talked a little bit about, life in general and what life means. And do people ask you, did you see God? Did you talk to God when you were going through all this?
I never saw Him, but I talk to Him every day. And He talked to me immediately after the diagnosis, I believe, because I got this amazing peace over me, and I knew that He was taking care of me. So I think He talks to me, He talks to all of us, in different ways if we're just quiet our hearts and listen for Him and, read His Word and hear what He has to say to us. He has a plan. He really does. And He's always there, and He never lets us go. And even when it seems like we're in something all by ourselves, we're really not. There's always some big guy holding our hand.
Oh, I know that.
Always.
What does Kathleen like to do when we're not inspiring people or, activities? I know your husband's in the studio, and we talked to him for a little bit. But
yeah, my husband is a dispatcher for the Sheriff's Department here in town, And we like to, watch movies on our downtime. I like to paint. I like to, every now and then we golf. Mostly lately we've been golfing on the Wii instead of golfing on the courses.
That's okay, that's all right.
Yeah, it's practice, right? We just enjoy each other's company, so we just try to spend as much time together as we can.
That's fantastic. Any writing books? Would you like to write books?
I have a desire to write a book. I'd like to write a book about my mother's story. Yes, you do, and yours needs to absolutely be written. I am aspiring to become a writer, but that's not a natural thing for me, so I'm working at it. But I think our stories need to be told, and so that's why Tough Times University is just right now a blog. But hopefully under our church, New Connections Community Church, we can make it a nonprofit entity where people can come in and talk about their stories, and other people can donate if they want to, and the funds that come from Tough Times University can help people through those tough times, make them a little bit easier for them. Finances are always a big thing.
Sure.
But you just have to have the peace that God gives you one way or another. So you have a story. Everyone has a story to tell. You absolutely have a story to tell. I've heard it. It's amazing. But a lot of people have stories to tell that will inspire and help other people. And so Tough Times University is really just a place where you can do that. And I invite people to give me their stories so that I can publish them on my blog, or so that we can talk about them, and hopefully someday they will be in a book, maybe. But
have you ever run into an atheist who said, I just don't? I have. When I was telling someone my story, and they said, do you really believe that those doctors, they're the ones that saved you? And I said, no, they didn't. I mean, have you ever run into that situation?
Yeah, it's tough to run into people who don't believe that there's a God that's in control of our lives. And you wonder, how can they do that when you look around at nature and just see all the things that God has created? They didn't just happen. Things don't just happen to us. God is in everything. And when they say, I don't believe, I feel sorry for them, and you just got to hope that somewhere along the way lightning will strike and they'll get the point and understand who He is, for their own benefit, for their lives to be different. Yeah, you come across those negative people.
Well, Kathleen, we appreciate you coming in today. We're just about out of time, but Kathleen Duffus, again, the owner of Coach Through Life, personal career coaching, and also the founder and CEO of Tough Times University, where the quality of education is equaled only by the quantity of pain and difficulty one is willing to overcome.
That's right.
We do appreciate you coming in today.
Appreciate you.
And I know you have a busy schedule coming up in the next couple of weeks, but once again, we do it. And one more time, the website and phone number if people want to get a hold of you.
The website is www.coachthroughlife.com, and my phone number is 740-407-6460. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being here. We do appreciate it. Once again, we appreciate you tuning in to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. And remember, until we meet again, let's make a difference.
There are so many fun things we all can do to be healthier, no matter who you are or where you are. So let's move.
Oh, here we go.
Let's stretch in the grass.
What a play!
Let's play tag.
Wow, unbelievable.
Let's jump up and down.
Oh, what a way to finish it.
And most of all, let's eat better so that we have the energy we need to play an hour a day, every day.
Everyone can play. Just go to letsmove.gov to learn more.